And good morning, everyone. Yes, I'm starting a little early, about a half hour earlier than normal, for a lot of reasons. One is I'm anticipating that the next few days are going to be chock full of information, and we all need to pay attention. At any rate, hello. Today is the 14th of February, 2019, Valentine's Day, which is always a nice holiday. Well, it's not really a holiday, but a recognition day, I guess you would call it. I'm Roy Potter, and this is the Potter Expositor. Welcome, everybody, as you come in. I believe the chat is on. And that's really what we're going to be doing today. I'm not going to be talking that much. I have a few musical selections I want to play for you, which are very apropos. One that I did myself, and another by a group called COLDPLAY called Fix You. And the lyrics were put up by a YouTuber by the name of Rhys Skinner. And I'd encourage you to go to his YouTube site and see that. It's in the description box below how you get his name. So basically, why did I call this the Moan and Groan and Praise and Own? Well, because, you know, we're at a situation now where anything can happen. Trump has done so many outstanding things, despite the fact that I've said, and I continue to say, that I don't see the economy in this area of the country doing as well as claimed. That doesn't mean that there aren't, things happening elsewhere, etc. So I'm a little leery of things like that, but I do know that Trump's main purpose was basically to get America back on its feet again from the decimation that had occurred from the leftist, Marxist, New World Order, deep state influences that have been trying to destroy us and move things to China. Russia's not the enemy, ladies and gentlemen, but the neocons need to keep that there in the deep state and the mainstream media, because they're the ones that are so much in bed with these foreign governments, particularly China and Russia, and they want to keep the heat off of the Chinese connection as much as they can, because that's where most of their investments went, and that's where Trump is trying to gather much of that back to our country. So the end result of all this can be a worldwide economic boom. And a good type, I would hope. I don't like consumerism for the base only of consumerism, or the purpose only of consumerism. But and we've got to get away from that in some ways. But prosperity is certainly important for people to be able to. Well, it's a two-edged sword, as most of you know. In prosperity, you can become more decadent, more depraved, or you can take a higher road. And the leadership is really where this comes from. You can take the higher road and improve yourself, become more intelligent, more knowledgeable, more informed, more technically savvy, more skilled, and good morals, of course, if the leadership is there. We have not had good leadership for a long time. Not that we should look to leadership to answer all of our problems or questions, but as I've often said, and all of you know, the fish rots from the head down, and our system is totally corrupt, and President Trump is under a great deal of stress and strain. He's made some mistakes, and I'm upset about that, as most of you know who follow me, but I am willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. When you have the evil and the amount of it and the force of the evil all throughout, not just the United States in our deep state, in our institutions, etc., principally the IC being the major problem, as most of you know I recognize. But this thing goes all around the world. Why Soros hasn't been attacked by the Delta Force, I don't know. There are some type of entities, powerful people or powerful entities that protect Soros and Clinton. It's really crazy, and it is biblical in a lot of ways. We think biblical things, all kind of like miracles and crazy stuff happening, and really it's very natural type of processes. And I do honestly believe that we are seeing those things work out now, as you've heard Alex Jones often say, and some other people, and I certainly agree with that. Well, like I said, this is going to be primarily your show, so we are going to go to the chat here real quick. Let me just say a couple more things. Actually, I had a whole bunch of stuff I was going to bring up, but I'm not going to do that today. All I will say is that I want Trump to get aggressive and on the offensive, and I realize the dangers of that, but if he doesn't do it, as I've often said, we're going to have some very severe problems. Yes, it's dangerous for him, it's dangerous for us, but with all of the information that's coming out, he needs to really hit him in the solar plexus with the getting in there and declassifying all of the information that we've talked about. He needs to declare the criminality of people. The president doesn't have power to arrest, but he has power to direct investigations and things like that. Even if his DOJ and FBI won't act or actually in mutiny against him, he needs to publicly call them to task and to publicly point out the crimes of the people that are in our government, bureaucracies, and our institutions. People like Adam Schiff, for instance. He needs to go after him. He's very dirty, very dirty. If anybody's ever looked into everything that he's about, and I'm not going to do that here again today, like I said, he's a very evil man. He's not just bad, he's evil. And of course, all the crimes of the Clintons, etc., need to be totally exposed. And yes, that can be divisive in the country, but this is the time to divide the right from the wrong, the good from the evil. And so Trump just needs to go ahead and do it. Keeping unity in this country is no longer possible. It's just not possible. As I've long said, the gulf between good and evil is too vast to ever come together and reconcile. It will never happen. The division will never, ever be healed. It never will, and rightly so, I must say, unless they repent. Like Jonah telling Nineveh to repent. But these people don't look at it that way. Look at Ocasio-Cortez. Look at Schumer. Look at Schiff. Look at Pelosi. Look at Antifa. They're not going to do that. They're not going to. I was going to talk about Omar and Abrams today, but all I'll say about that is that it's unfortunate that we have leaders in our country that have done such horrible things around the world, and that it would take, despite the fact I don't like Omar, I don't like Sharia law, I don't like her as a person or her ideology, I will say that she pointed out a truth the other day, and everybody got upset about it, but they shouldn't. Historically, what she said was true, because we have evil people in our government who do evil things and are responsible for horrible things around the world. Our principles are superb and just, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, etc. But our leaders, our government officials, our institutions have not followed those things for a long time. They have not been the shining examples of those principles. Quite the opposite. And we need to understand that. That's why I was upset when Elliott Abrams was put in the position he was by Trump. In my estimation, another mistake on Trump's part. But that's another issue. Let me talk a little bit about where we really need to be, and then I'm going to play a little thing here for you. I know a lady, she's probably listening today. I know a lady who is very much into all of the things that we talk about here. And she was, apparently, for many years. And she has done something that I think we all should do. We concentrate on these things, these horrible things, so much. The evil actually succeeds against us, because then that is where our focus is. And what we do is we draw more of that negative energy into the world. So what I see, we want to approach God more. However you view God, that's fine. I'm not going to dictate that. But I do want to show you what this lady has done, because this is really incredible. She's probably going to get upset I'm even talking about it. She sees all these things, but she has immersed herself in the study of ancient philosophies, religious, religion, that type of thing, spirituality, signs, symbology, scripture, history. And why she's doing this is to give herself a basis so that she can operate better in the world and understand the world in a better way. You know, these ancient philosophies, these ancient writings, these ancient symbols, all of these things are important to us, even the evil ones, because what they do is they show us our origins. Forget evolution. Evolution, in and of itself, was an agreed upon heresy by the scientific community to throw the idea of an intelligent designer in the universe out the window. That's all that was. The fact of the matter is, as I pointed out to a biology teacher of mine when I was in college, I was taking physics at the time, and I've told this story before, the theory of evolution is impossible when put up against the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. You can go look that up if you want. I'm not going to go into it. But basically what I'm saying is that the universe would fall apart without this intelligent design force, God, if you will, that keeps everything together and keeps it moving along. So that's when I saw what she was doing. We've had quite an exchange over the last couple of days. It's been kind of interesting. Not that we agree on everything, but that's not even necessary. The important thing is that we're looking. And so I just wanted to say, of all the things that you can do at this time, the most important thing is that you do the best you can to approach the supreme intelligence in the universe, God, if you will, and to make your peace with that being, and to ally with him, make him an ally of yours. You know, Abraham, for instance, was called the friend of God. And God wants to call us his friends. All we need to do is ask and follow what he proposes. And I do say a he. I look at it a little differently than that, but for the sake of time and information, we'll just go with that. All right, so I wanted to bring that up and just congratulate her and anybody else who has those interests on the side and tries to bring that good energy and understanding into themselves and into those around them and into the world itself, so that we don't always concentrate on the bad things. I also wanted to bring up that, you know, we have a great deal of abundance. Trump has done a great thing there. He really has. But I'm just hoping that now we can get back. We need to stay there for a while because some other bad things are coming down the road, and we need to have the supplies and the ability to sustain ourselves in this coming crisis, which I still believe is on its way. Because the bad side isn't going to take what's happened laying down, as we've seen. But we need to be thankful for the abundance we have and store it up, get things ready so that we can move ahead when times get difficult again. And they will. So I just want to say that. Remember, the wicked, the scriptures say that the wicked will destroy the wicked. That's why I say my old mantra, and I haven't said it for a while, pray, and stay out of the way. Because the wicked will destroy the wicked. The fighting for power is pretty much at the top of the building, right? The top of the hill. You got the bad guys all trying to vie for their own position, even though they're all together in a lot of ways. The evil is wiser than the good because they think about it all the time. And I could get into some symbology on that to explain why that is, but regardless, that's what's in their heart is to do evil continually. Most of us just want to be with our families, you know, take our family to the beach, you know, relax, enjoy ourselves, enjoy each other. And that's what God intended. He didn't intend all this other nonsense. But it's a school. So here we are, we're in the school. So anyway, the idea is to be thankful for what we have. Keep your own counsel. You know, you've got to do that. You can't just go along with the crowd. Keep your own counsel. That's always the best road. Consider what other people are saying, but always keep your own counsel. Enjoy creation. Enjoy creation. That's what it was there for. That's what it is there for. And they are trying to destroy it. You know, the chemtrails and all that. Which brings up another point I want to say real quick. I found a website, actually a YouTube site, that I find very interesting. It's called Cabin Talk. You can look it up on YouTube, Cabin Talk. And it's with a lady who, apparently she came here from Germany. She settled in the D.C. area first and then moved to Vermont. Her name is Claudia. She has guests on her show. She's fantastic. She talks about wonderful, wonderful things. And you know I like to promote other people. So I want to tell you about it again and make sure that you go see it. Cabin Talk. You know, like a log cabin. C-A-B-I-N, then Talk, T-A-L-K. And her name's Claudia. You'll know her when you see her. She's a blonde lady. Has a German accent still, but talks about all the things that we do and shows you a lot of other really interesting stuff and has some really interesting guests. So please go see her. And the reason why I'm bringing that up today is because Pam Jones, if you're listening, You need to get a hold of her. You and she could work together, I think. I know you had somebody before that you were doing that, and you still do, but I think you'd enjoy it. I really do. She's really, really well versed. Let me see real quick on the chat. I'm looking for one person, as most of you might know. Let's see if she's here. And I will get to the chat in a few minutes after I do these other things. Let me just see if Kay Smalls is on here, because I promised her I was going to make her a monitor. What do you call them? Well, you like a monitor, right? Well, I don't see her on here yet, and that's okay. I'll watch for her, and when she comes on, we will make her a moderator. That's what I'm trying to say. And I don't see her yet. But I will start at the top of the chat list, because this is your day to talk. I haven't allowed you to do that for quite some time, because I go on and on and on. But I do want to play these couple of songs, so I'm going to do that one right here, right now. The first one. And I know this is a little long, both of these are, but it's kind of a tribute to what the first one's kind of a tribute to what President Trump is attempting to accomplish. And despite all of his weaknesses and all that, he is the man in the arena. He is trying to do the right things, and he has evil incarnate everywhere attacking him. I don't know how he stands up to it, but it's wonderful that he does. I will call him out when I think he does crazy things, like the bump stock ban, you know, the red flag laws, the attack on Syria. I'm not sure about this thing in Venezuela. I'm still watching that. But also the fact that he's not attacking the evil, you know, and I realize, again, there are problems there, but he needs to declassify, just like people like Greg Jarrett are saying, and Joe DeGeneva and these other people. Get that stuff out there. Point out the evil. Just do it because it's necessary. Yeah, I know the problem. But let's look at this for just a minute. Plus, I need to go get some more coffee. So give me a couple of minutes. I want you to watch this. This is an arrangement that I did. Some of you will recognize it from a video I did back about, during the campaign, the 2016 campaign. But all you'll see here is a picture of Trump, who I want to tell him that despite all of my criticisms, I do support his efforts and what he is trying to accomplish. And I pray every day that God will give him protection and give him the ability to discern right from wrong and have the courage to do the right thing, as you've heard me say before. So let's play this. I hope, like I say, it's just a picture with some music, which I put together. But hopefully it'll be relaxing for you. And we'll be back. Here we go. All right. Yeah, I titled that "Reward Faith." We've talked about faith a lot, and what it really is and what it means. A lot of people don't really understand. It's not a hope in something without a foundation, without evidence, without substance. Faith itself is a substance of sorts, and it can cause things to happen, but it has to be based on reality. It has to be based on things that really happen. In other words, you can't have blind faith. You can't have blind hope in something, and I think most of you understand that. Faith to move ahead is very important, or we wouldn't get out of bed in the morning. So there are some aspects of faith that you have to be aware of that require you to do something, despite some of the philosophies that say otherwise. Okay, well, let's do this. I'm going to go to the chat because this is your day. And I'm going to start at the very top. Let me just check one more time to see if Kay Smalls is here. Oh, there she is. Hi, Kay. Guess what? I'm making you a moderator right here now. Thank you, Kay. I appreciate that so much, okay? Thank you. We like I said, discussed some things the other day on Twitter, and she definitely said that this was a great thing. So for me to ask her, and I so much appreciate her doing this, along with Roosevelt, and I think it's Liza Jean is the other one. So I've got 3 of them, and I appreciate them being here. So let's start on the chat here, and of course everybody's saying good morning as they come in, as they came in. Okay. Thank you, Liza. I see you already been working on some of these folks. You know, that's a strange thing about YouTube. All these trolls and things and people that have to come on here, they don't have anything to offer. They just want to be nasty. So it's nice to have these people have a Purple One. Happy Valentine's Day, Roy. Love you so much. Enjoy your day. Well, thank you, Purple One. I appreciate that. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we could all meet? I'd really like to see who some of you folks are, meet you in person. That'd be so nice. Metatron 737, drink yourself to death, AP. That's not nice, Metatron. Well, at least I guess it's not nice, but I'll let the moderators handle that. Okay, Marianne 1. My understanding is that there are several already at Gitmo, including Bush Jr. Obama. Don't believe that. There are some YouTubers out there and some other people that are spouting a lot of this and have been for a long time. I'm not going to name their names. I'm not here to trash them. But don't believe any of that. Listen, if in fact Bush, Obama, Clinton, any of these people were in Gitmo, you would be hearing the left kicking and screaming about it. No, that's not what's happening. There are powerful forces behind them, and Trump knows it. We don't need to believe these fairy tales by people who are just trying to get attention. Okay, you notice I don't put stuff like that out. When I was watching the Q stuff a year ago, I thought, well, okay, maybe there's well, actually by this time this year I was done with it. But when it first started there in October, November 2017, I thought there were some possibilities with it, but it soon became apparent that that's not. And a lot of people are milking that information. No, they're not in Gitmo. Don't believe that for 1 minute. I'm not saying there aren't some people, but they ain't it. Okay? All right. Happy Valentine's Day to you, Sandra Odell. Let's see here. AP, it's his channel. Oh, thank you, Richard Clark. Okay, I'm just looking to see if there are any. Trump was loose as a goose at El Paso. Funny dude. Yeah, I'll agree with that. All of his rallies are fun. You know, he says that. Is there anything better than a Trump rally? No, there isn't. I would love to go to one of those. I really would. My problem is that the rah is just getting. I want to see some other actions. And maybe that will happen now. I have a lot of questions about Bill Barr. As a matter of fact, I was going to cover a lot on him today, but like I said, I've decided not to do that. The point is that the Trump administration is full of people that I don't trust. And there are various reasons for him having gotten those people. One was desperation because he couldn't get anybody to take the positions. But at that point, there are some other ways he could handle things. But like I said, I want the rah, rah, rah to go into action. Not saying there's anything wrong with the rah, rah, rah. It's just that I want to see things occur. So yeah, all of his rallies are great, and he always makes good points. I wish he would take the next step on the MSM, because he says they're fake news, right? And just say, look, there are rogue elements. If he wants to be a little careful, there are rogue elements in the intelligence community that are telling them what to do. He needs to go to that point. I don't know when he will, but yeah. Okay, the Democrats. Very good, Mr. Vitez, M.R. Vitez. Unfortunately, they're not talking about just liberal philosophies anymore. They are, and they're trying to push it off on Ocasio-Cortez and some of those other new ones, Omar, etc. The fact of the matter is that the Democratic Party has been moving to the leftist Marxist side for a long time, because that's who the Republicans also have been, but the Democrats more obvious. You know, this Mutt and Jeff routine. I don't trust any of them, and I don't think Trump does either, frankly. But yeah, they are at war with the principles of our republic. If they don't want the principles of our republic, why are they here? Because demons destroy things. Demons are I don't know if you know the etymology of the word demon, but it goes back to the idea of the evil ones are more wise. The children of darkness are more wise than the children of light, because they plan out their evil, and that's what we have here. And you've always had to worry about that. But in our country, we never thought it would happen. Well, of course I have, but most folks never thought it would happen. Disciple of Bugs Bunny 14. Trump likes Soros and the Clintons. Well, he was friends with the Clintons. I don't know if I could say that that's an act anymore with the rub between Trump and the Clintons. Soros has been involved, I think, in some of Trump's business dealings, certainly in Kushner's. That's why I say I don't understand why the Delta Force hasn't gone against Soros. I mean, if anybody's meddled in our elections and in our country and caused the troubles that we have, it's Soros. I mean, Hungary's after him, which is his own home country. So why Trump hasn't gone after him, I'm not sure. I think that's a travesty. It's one of the things I don't understand. Although I do know that there's, like I say, these evil forces in the government behind the scenes that Trump just can't get a hold of, because he doesn't have enough support. He doesn't have enough people that'll go along with him on it. Ron Vorman, do something in the form of action, not just more inconsequential talk. Ron Vorman, this is the age of InfoWars, information warfare. We are doing something. We're doing it here now. Talking is where it starts, to get people to understand. I want things to happen, but you can't just go out there on your own or with a group of people and try to change the country. It's not going to happen that way. The division is going to continue. Do you understand this? The division is going to continue. The good and the evil are going to continue to separate. Oh, you'll get your actions sometime in the future, and you'll wish for the good old days when it wasn't happening. You don't know what you're asking for. We are doing everything we can short of that at this point. Look at Trump. He's in a position to do these things, and he's not. That's dangerous. It's dangerous. But if he goes down the road of going after these people, yes, I'll be there to support him. Absolutely, 100%. And a lot of other vets and other constitutional republic supporters will as well. You don't understand what you're dealing with here, okay? Talking like that, you really don't understand what you're saying. Do what you can. You know, sacrifice isn't the principle of getting yourself killed, all right? That's what people mostly think of sacrifice. The real principle of sacrifice is that you do all you can without depleting yourself. Because if you deplete yourself, then you become worthless to God and the devil. So easy there, buddy, or lady, whichever you are. Okay. I think the reports of George Soros being arrested in Switzerland, that's one of the reports I'm talking about. I wouldn't believe it. The liberal side, they would be screaming holy murder. Okay? I don't believe it. I don't see the evidence, but in a few very questionable sites that have not shown themselves to be very reliable in the past. We all make mistakes, but to push information like that when you don't have hardcore evidence, and especially seeing, and one of the things you look for when you attack the enemy is how the rest of the enemy's force reacts. Do you understand that that's part of the intelligence operation, to see what your effect of the attack is on the rest of the force? I don't see any effect, so I don't think it's happening. Sorry, it just isn't. No, the truth unsealed, I don't know who that is. I don't believe him. For the reasons I just said. Be careful with these folks. I mean, you can go to their sites, you can go to Q and all those other things if you want. But this is hopium. This is faith without evidence. Sorry, don't believe it. Okay, solar plexus. Yeah. They need to arrest. That's from Richard Clark. Morning, everyone, from Melinda. Morning, Lieutenant Colonel. The troops, whether Joe Blow. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Adam Schiff needs to be put in prison so he can be dealt with, that child predator that he is. I agree, Tony Blassetti. Thank you for saying so. I agree. Metatron 737, believe nothing from the U.S. Corporation Ministry of Truth. True. Absolutely true. That's essentially what Trump is saying, right? Of course, we've got to be careful on Trump, too, because even if he is overtly trying to give us bad information, which I don't believe, I mean, no politician is free of that. But really, it's because of the information he's receiving from the people that he's depending upon. And that's why I worry about who is on his staff. I worry about that. Okay, let's see. Soros isn't going to Gitmo. They will slap his wrist. I would like to see him prosecuted, but he's like the Clintons. That's what I'm saying, Chad Dentant, I think is your name. Yeah, there is something protecting this guy and the Clintons that is, if not an extremely powerful worldly power, it's otherworldly. There is something really, truly biblical about this. There absolutely is. Okay. Purple one. Roy, will you be my Valentine? If you're on Twitter, send me a DM. We'll talk about it. Okay. I'm pretty picky. I think you all know that, right? When I was in Vegas with Brand Thornton, we went out with a couple of ladies. Nice ladies, but still not quite my type. I'm really picky. I mean, what else can I say? Of course, I'm no spring chicken myself, right? Anyway, yeah. But yeah, if you have Twitter, give me a buzz and we'll see what we've got there. Okay. Oh yeah, SAG, not SAG, AAG, Agate, Ate It, something, I don't know. Adam Schiff and connections to Guatemalan House of Culture, yeah, and the Standard Hotel, yeah. What really happened in downtown LA, video, a special team in hazmat suits. I can see the military training for a terrorist attack using biological, chemical, or nuclear type of material. I can see that. I question these suburban, or these are rather urban drills on a number of fronts. I don't trust. When the Jade Helm thing happened a few years ago, you know how I felt about that. This is geospatial intelligence, and they were checking their data. I even caught them, gang stalking me. And a lot of people say, "Oh, come on, no, that's a fact." So, I don't trust all these things. That's my daughter wishing me happy Valentine's Day. She probably doesn't know I'm on the air. Well, let me see if we are here. Oh, yeah, maybe not. Anyway. Yeah, so I question these things all the time. I don't like the fact that they're getting us ready for these things. The military can train without doing what they're doing in downtown LA, or like they did in all these other places, in Florida, the Midwest, all over, Chicago, a lot of places. But this is training the American people. Unfortunately, that's really what it's about. It's bad, okay? What it's all about, I don't know. It could be a cover for an operation. Who knows? You know, the American people aren't told anything anymore. We're supposed to be, and I can understand operational security and communication security, all those things, but there could be some nefarious operations going on there. I'm not saying there are, but it's a good possibility. Claire Lyons, I heard that Trump does not listen. Well, he sure isn't listening to his supporters, is he? I mean, he goes to these rallies, and I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but he likes the energy of a rally. That's why he does these. It's not just, you know, for campaign purposes. I think he sees so many crazy things, and he gets so depressed, frankly, in the White House and around that staff, that he likes to go out and see people who are energized about what he's trying to do. But yes, I should say you're correct. I don't think he's listening to the right people. At least not enough of them, that's for sure. Why do Americans have to share a country with Somalis? And I've talked about this before. Saudi Arabia can be Saudi Arabia. Israel can be Israel. China can be China. Japan, China. Japan can be Japan. But if it's a white culture, they want you to be diverse and to be multicultural, to destroy your culture. It's a form of genocide. I've talked about it for a while. I'm not against saying it. I'm not saying that we aren't a nation of immigrants, because we are. But there comes a point at which it's not immigration anymore, it's invasion. And you know how I feel about that, and that's what's happening. One of the things that you do when you want to defeat a country is you get the women to go in there and soften things up. Yeah, I'm talking about Omar, I'm talking about Ocasio-Cortez, etc. You get them in there, they're soft, they're soft-spoken, although that didn't happen with Elliott Abrams the other day, but frankly, I don't like Elliott Abrams. What Omar said was true. It's just unfortunate that nobody else in Congress had the guts to say that before she did, because now she's earned some respect that she doesn't deserve. But at any rate, so they put these women in there, and then everybody gets kind of used to it, and then what happens is that the military force comes in on these sides, paramilitary forces, and we're setting ourselves up for some very, very bad things. Okay. What me worry for the people is talking again about truth unsealed and all that. I don't believe any of that, as I've already said, because I'm looking for the reaction in the rest of the evil army, and there's no reaction to this supposed attack. Okay? I don't believe it for that reason. Not to attack these people that are out there doing that. They can say what they want, but they're not presenting any real evidence, and I'm not seeing it when I look at the battlefield. Okay? The battlefield intelligence tells me that that's not true. It may not be a purposeful diversion, but it's not true. Brown Eyes Rule says, I'm a mom of 4 from California, and I used to look up to you, but you are very rude and obviously into yourself. In other words, you don't like alpha males. All right, well, nobody's forcing you to be here, Brown Eyes Rule. So, go your own way. That doesn't hurt my feelings. If you're talking to me, then I think you are. Brian Martin, if you feel that way about my Earth initials, then they are for you, lots of laughs. Push. I have no idea what that's talking about. If you moderators know what's going on there, you can check some of these out. I don't know what to think. Yeah, APAC and SPLC, isn't that interesting? Bucket full of balls. Well, that's interesting. What a name. SPLC is being sued and needs to be. And there are some problems with APAC. I will agree with that. Americans shouldn't have. I mean, I don't know any Irish Americans. I don't know any Irish Americans, or like my grandfather's side, Swedish Americans, so to speak, that are out there. They haven't given up their culture. They still eat some of their same foods and all that. But I don't see them out there pushing to force us to support to support Ireland or Sweden or whatever. I don't see them doing that. It's interesting how the dual citizenship that exists in Israel is counterproductive to our interests. And I know even President Trump says Israel's interests are ours. I'm not against Israel as a nation. I'm not. I don't believe the storyline about what they are because they don't prove it to me. They're not Torah observant. Sects there are, S-E-C-T-S, but not much else. So at any rate, I think there's a problem with us bending down to foreign interests too much and having dual citizenship. And if you have dual citizenship, you should not be allowed to hold public office. Yes. Disciple of Bugs Bunny, diversity is a code for white genocide. Anybody who's honest with themselves, looking at that across the world and how it's been applied, you are absolutely right. I agree. I agree. All right. Okay. Jelly Bean, I agree with Jelly Bean say that anybody from the Middle East has no legality to hold a position in anything. I agree. It's like I say in this dual citizenship business. Purple One, I love Roy and he ignores me. I've been with him since before it was cool to be a Potterhead and he just won't pay attention to me. I'm a gorgeous 30-something woman. Purple One, I told you, if you're on Twitter, DM me, okay? 30's a little young for me. My doctor, he's constantly telling me, Roy, you don't want to be with divorced women that have been divorced, 3, 4, 5 times. You don't want to, the 30 to early 40-somethings is where you want to be. And I'm going, holy cow, doc. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But anyway, Purple One, I'm not ignoring you, okay? It's just, this YouTube thing and these contacts in cyberspace can be very deceiving. That's what I've learned. Nothing against you, but get a Twitter account and DM me, and we'll see. Okay. Brian Martin, my eyes are green. I'm not sure what that's all about. Notification, 12 minutes into. Yeah, the notifications are going to be very slow. They will be. And that's because, I'm being censored. Anybody who does the thing. I'm not censored as bad as some people. Some of them are really, really bad. You know that, right? I mean, look, Matt Bracken's totally off Twitter now. He's that Navy SEAL, a former Navy SEAL. I'm surprised they allow Craig Sawyer to keep on. And there have been others. They took off. They've taken off a lot of people. Laura Loomer, for instance, I think is off of there now. And however you feel about Laura, she's done some really incredible things as far as finding out the truth. Okay, anything that promotes the polarization of humanity is the agenda of the New World Order. What me worry for the people. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly right. I won't comment on that one. All right. The narrow gate admits only one at a time. Deplorable says that. Well, that's okay to look at it that way. I have a different concept, but no, that's all right. Google Yuri Bezmenov. He explained all the crap that's going on these days. I believe I've heard of him. Yeah, I'd have to check, but yeah, there are some people that understand this and have for a long time. Anti-BDS legislation will prohibit you. This is from Bucket Full of Balls again. Anti-BDS legislation will prohibit you and your free speech from criticizing a certain group which will remain nameless. Yes, I think we all know what you're talking about. Every deep breath is a blessing. Straight Arrow 62, thank you for saying that. Here we go. Swivel Hips. Yeah, she's great. Cabin Talk. Thank you for bringing that up, Swivel Hips. I appreciate that. She really deserves a greater viewership. I've watched several of her videos now. I did put a comment on one of her latest videos, asking her to go to my Twitter if she has. I don't think she has Twitter, but I'd like to get her and Pam Jones on at the same time. I think that would be. Of course, she has really interesting live streams. She's had people on where you can actually hear them talk, which I don't do. When you're watching them, with a screen. I have to do it over the phone. But okay. All right. Let's see. Matthew Hill, Roy, what are your thoughts on these meteors missiles over Cuba and Venezuela? It's probably military activity. What can I say? Let's remember where we are here today, though. Okay, we're talking about moaning and groaning. Okay, what are your concerns? What do you feel isn't going the way it should? What do you think is going well? That's why I said, praise and own. Let's try to go on that, because I'm kind of interested in getting a feel for that. I mean, I can get a feel for it from some of the things you're saying, but this is your chance to kind of sound off, I guess is what you could say. Troll Day here, Roy, she says. Jody Noble, yeah, as always. Yeah, looks true. Looks like, by the way, there's a huge windstorm here. We're getting gale force winds, so it's very possible that I might be slipping in and out. And I apologize for that if that's happenings. Oh yeah, Confessions of a KGB Agent. That's the one you were talking about. Straight Arrow 62. Yes, very true. Remember though that Russia has pretty much kicked off the entire thing with socialism and communism, because there are some real problems with that. They're still an authoritarian regime. I don't want to call them a regime, government. But they're trying to return to their Christian roots, something that the deep state does not want. So some of these things, like Bill Browder, for instance, I don't trust Bill Browder. I don't know why anybody in Congress does. I see this difficulty between Dan Bongino and Lee Stranahan. Lee's a credible researcher and reporter, journalist, real journalist. And I know the way he kind of attacked Dan Bongino for covering for Bill Browder and how Bill Browder's being used and protected by the establishment and even by Fox News. I don't like to see those two guys in a fight, but I have to side with Lee Stranahan on this. As much as I like Dan and what he's done, Lee's correct, and so. We see these attacks against people like Lee, and then you have a lot of these propaganda pieces that bring into question what our relationship with Russia should be. And in my estimation, I agree with Ann Coulter on this. I think Russia could be our sister country. I think we should be that close. Denise Clays, very surprised that you are recommending such woo, Roy. Woo. I'm not sure I know what that. Well, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Let's go down here and see if we got any more. Straight Arrow 62. Yeah, bump stocks are a joke, but it's the principle of attacking the Second Amendment, because despite what the mainstream media said and the Las Vegas PD and the FBI, all lies. Any of us that have looked into that in any great deal know that they've lied about. The bump stock was in the room. You do not hear bump stock fire in any of the recordings. There are a couple of times where there sounds like there's an interruption, like it could be a bump stock, but overall it's not. The real purpose of this is to say, okay, we've banned bump stocks. So what are they doing now? There's a thing in Congress right now to ban magazines in the U.S. Congress. Okay, so that's how they move down the road. Now this has happened before. I don't want to alarm everybody, but you know that they're going to try to do it. And unfortunately, Trump has shown some willingness to go down that road. The red flag laws. However, Bill Barr. Here we go. I didn't want to get into him, but he says the red flag laws are one of the most effective tools for gun control, for violence. Well, he was also for the Patriot Act and surveillance. He was also for what happened at Ruby Ridge. He protected Lon Horiuchi, killing a woman and her son, and other things. And I don't want to spend some time on him, but the point is that that's a slippery slope. You go after the criminal, you don't go after the tool, or it'll be like Britain eventually, right? I mean, you can't even carry a knife with you now in places in Britain. I mean, this is getting absurd. Yes, I did see the Janet, we the people. I did see the executive order on the AI. I can understand Trump's move on that as far as our defensive posture and some other things, but yes, it's very troubling when you combine that with the sorry, I hit my microphone. The chemtrails and nanoparticles, the entire thing with trying to control the population. You know, the stuff that Amazon now puts in your home, and you can talk to it. I forget the name of the things. And they're listening to you all the time. They give you answers sort of like Captain Kirk. Computer, what's this thing? And computer answers. This is all very dangerous, and no, I don't like it because the evil will use it against us, which they are. So I'm a little worried about that executive order. He hasn't enforced his executive order of the 21st of December 2017 yet about stealing the resources and all those things, at least nothing that we've seen. Remember, I look at the entire battlefield. I'm looking for reactions from these attacks that he's supposedly making, and this thing about, like I said a few minutes ago, Obama and Clinton being a Gitmo and all this. I'm looking for reactions on the battlefield, and I'm not seeing any. Zero. Same thing with the voter fraud executive order, So I have some problems with Trump. I do, but I know what he's up against. He just has to get more courageous. Go on the offensive, come hell or high water, let the chips fall where they may. Okay, I can see Kay and Liza Jean, you're working really well for me this morning. Thank you very, very much. Brian Martin, what are my feelings on Comey FBI? No, they're not safe. I have a look at my playlists, and you'll see an entire playlist on FBI corruption, DOJ, IC corruption. I've been very close to the IC for a very long time, both professionally and personally, and they are a mess. They are our most dangerous domestic enemy, and they've proven it with this whole thing with Trump. It really has come out in the open, but they've done what they've done to Trump, to individual Americans. They create crimes and then go after people instead of the other way around. They've done that for a long time. They're very evil, very, very evil. And I get very upset with people saying, oh, the lower agents are good. Well, that's not true. It depends on a lot of factors, but my experience has been that that's not true. There are good ones. I'm not saying there aren't, but their fruits, by and large, are not very positive. They show that they're interested in supporting the deep state and the police state, and not the rights and the rights of the American people. They haven't shown to me that that's what they're about. And I talked about my own, I could talk about professional situations, but my own personal case when I went to the FBI on a civil rights violation, people tapping my phones. It was a very long, kind of drawn out thing, interfering in jobs, places to live, defamation of character, a whole lot of things were going on. And I went, and the FBI agent I talked to, his name was Johnny Turner, and I've talked about this before. He listened to my tape, which I had recorded without the person that I was interviewing knowing which is legal in Utah, as long as one person knows about it. And when he listened to it, he says, "You know what? You were right. I don't think the FBI is going to take this because they're in bed with the perpetrators." Okay, and that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Purple One, Las Vegas. Forgetting about Las Vegas is a very bad thing. I haven't forgotten about it, as you can tell. It's just, and that's another thing that Trump, this thing with the bump stocks, really bothers me. Why didn't he come out and say what really happened there? National security? Knowledge is power, and when you don't have knowledge, you're at a disadvantage. And a democracy, well, not a democracy, a republic cannot operate unless the people have information. You don't have to give them all the secret stuff, the stuff that could do harm. But he could come out and tell us what really happened in Vegas in general terms. But he hasn't. He's still going along with Stephen Paddock was the lone guy. And as I showed in a video not too long ago, Bran Thornton's nephew was shot, and the angle of the wound channel shows that it did not come from Mandalay Bay. Trump's not opening up with us. Look, he hasn't gone with the JFK thing. He said he was going to... Declassify all that, and he held back on a lot of it. He said he was going to declassify the FISA stuff and all the deals on the emails and all that stuff with the FBI. No. He needs to hit him, and he needs to hit him hard. Purple One, I see you're saying thanks for all you do. Thank you, too. I appreciate it. Okay. Yeah. Ha! Bucket full of balls. You see, I'm one of the few, probably few military officers that have no respect for Oliver North. Oliver North is not a hero. He said he needed to violate the Constitution to protect the Constitution. Diametrically opposed principles. Mutually exclusive. No, I don't have any. Oliver North and Elliot Abrams work together. You know that, right? I have no respect for either one of them. But I don't want to go down that road today. Yeah, Fringe Energy, thank you for reminding us to enjoy creation and for giving Trump a break. Well, thank you, Fringe Energy. Again, I'm hard on Trump like I'm hard on my kids. You know, I mean, you might say, well, you have no right to discipline Trump. Hey, he works for us, is the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so I want to hold his feet to a standard, just like I do my children. So I'll give him a break, but I want him to know that we're watching. We're watching. And we want to give him accolades and praise when he deserves it. And we want to call us, you know, put his ass down and say, hey, look, buddy, when he's not doing the right thing. Okay, let's see. Okay. Pardon me for stopping here for a minute. We've been going on for an hour. Oh, thank you, Fringe Energy. Yeah, I love composing music. That's one of. I'm not very good at it. It's a struggle for me to do it. It's not easy. It's a struggle. But I've been involved in music one way or another since I was about 13, and played in bands and all that. The only thing I don't like is rap that much. There are some raps that are pretty good. Isaac Green's got some interesting stuff, but it's not my favorite thing. All right, let's see here. We did watch a Trump video. I tell you what, yeah, let me play this other thing. It's talked about in the description box, and then I'll come back to the chat after this because we're going to have a long show today. So I'll let you, vent a little bit more here. I want to thank COLDPLAY for this song. It's called Fix You. And I want to thank Rhys Skinner for putting up the lyrics. I wanted to put up the COLDPLAY official video because it's quite nice. But you all can go look at that. But it wouldn't let me do it. And I understand. I understand that. Even though you give them credits and all of that, they still, and putting it on here, they would still get the credit for the view. But at any rate, this song goes along with where we are now and really our subject matter today. It really does. It has romantic implications, which all of us have experienced to some degree. I know I have. But also in the state of the world and how we look at it as well. I think it has a lot of meaning on many levels. So let me play this for you, and then we'll come back to your comments again. Okay, so this is COLDPLAY. It's called Fix You by COLDPLAY, and it shows you the lyrics so that you know what he's saying, because sometimes he is British, I think, and it's kind of hard to understand him sometimes. Okay, so here we go.
When you try your best but you don't succeed, when you get what you want but not what you need, when you feel so tired but you can't sleep, stuck in rivers, and the tears come streaming down your face, when you lose lose something you can't replace. When you love someone but it goes to waste, could it be worse? Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. High up above or down below, when you're too in love to let it go. But if you never try, you'll never know just what you were. Lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. Tears stream down your face when you lose something you cannot replace. Tears stream down your face, tears stream down your face. I promise you I will learn from your mistakes. Tears stream down your face, lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you.
Okay. I think there's a lot to that song, and I hope that you got out of it what I did and always have. You know, when my wife was sick, as most of you know, she died of cancer in 2008. The song Clocks was playing. We were in San Diego. She was at the Scripps Medical Center getting treated. And we were in downtown Pacific Beach driving around, and I had never heard the COLDPLAY band before that, but it was on the radio, and I heard the song Clocks. And that has a special place in my heart as well, as you can possibly imagine. But this one, I think, of course, fits the the subject matter today. And again, I want to thank COLDPLAY for that song and Rhys Skinner for posting that in the lyrics. And please do subscribe to his channel. I think that would be very good to do. Okay, let's get back to it. David Ream, he's talking to Purple One. I'll never forget Vegas or Lavoy Finicum. Much too close to me here in Mount Shasta, California. I agree. And Trump's DOJ going back after the Bundys again. You know, their case was dismissed with prejudice by the judge, and the DOJ under Trump now is appealing that decision by the judge so that they can retry the Bundys on the same issues, exact same, everything exactly the same. And I find that reprehensible and disgusting. Now, they did not need to use that use of force that they did against the Bundys or any other time. If they really believed that they were owed those taxes, Bundy has the money. He's been trying to pay the state of Nevada, because it's a land rights issue. He's going back to the Constitution about what the federal government can control, plus the fact that he never agreed to what the BLM was trying to force him to agree to. He never did contract with that. But at any rate, all of the other ranchers did. He's the last one in Clark County. And I'm explaining this so that you know a few more of the details of what's going on. That dismissal with prejudice needs to stand, and it's shameful, as I said before, that the Trump DOJ is going after it to get it reversed. Shameful, considering his December 21st, 2017 executive order about the resources situation. He knows that Harry Reid and Hillary Clinton were behind that, and Obama and Holder, to steal that land and to steal the resources. He knows that, and to give it to China, or in the case of the uranium, to the Russians, the other minerals and things. So I'm really that's another reason why Trump bothers me sometimes. Can he stop it? Sure he can. Sure he can. Well, we'll see what happens under Barr, but anyway. So let's get back to the Bundy thing. So if the government really feels that there's something that the Bundys owe them, they can go into the bank account and take it. They don't need to send armed troops to threaten the Bundys and their wives and their children, or their supporters who believe the same thing and were there at the demonstration. Now, I didn't go along. I thought it was crazy that Bundy sent his people over to the corrals. I think that was going too far, and I felt that at the time, and I feel that that's the case now. And then to tell the sheriff that, well, you disarmed the BLM. In principle, it was true, but in reality, it's ridiculous to say, go disarm the BLM and bring back their weapons here. You need to know when to take the win and not to keep up the attack. And unfortunately, Bundy went too far there. I'm not saying that the situation at the corrals wasn't justified in a lot of ways as far as demonstrating over there, but I think it was probably going a little too far in my own estimation. Sort of like the Malheur thing. Even though the Malheur thing turned out very well in the end, not for everybody it didn't. But at least for the Bundys it did. You should only go so far in your demonstrations unless you're led by a competent authority, because otherwise you just get into all kinds of problems. When I say competent authority, I mean a good sheriff, which Gillespie was not, and Lombardo was not, in Clark County, and certainly Ward, I think is his name, isn't up there in Oregon. But at any rate, you have to, when you're going to make a sacrifice, you have to weigh things, and you never want to deplete yourself in your sacrifice. There are times when you give up your blood and guts, but you better make sure that you really want to die on that hill. Lavoy being murdered, that's all that was. Okay, I'm not deprecating Lavoy Finicum at all here. He was not armed when they shot him. It was all a setup because he was the one that really was vocal and was getting the people in the area to understand the true issues. And Clinton couldn't have that, and neither could Holder, neither could Obama, or the IC, or the FBI, Comey, all those people. He was infringing on their Russian deal right? And it could blow it wide open if it was ever really investigated. The FBI has been involved in this whole thing with the Russia investigation. You've heard about me talking about this before. Everything has been to gather what evidence there might be that could convict, could implicate Clinton, greed, etc. And they cover that up. The FBI has been used to cover that up. That's why I say the agents, I don't believe it. You know, they know what they're finding, and they're sending it up, and it's being stopped at an upper level, whether or not they're doing it at the lower level or not. Well, they need to speak up. If not, they're complicit, and that's why I don't trust any of them. The FBI is holding that information down. The Department of Justice is holding that information down so that we, the people, don't find out about it. The crimes of these people are immense. And the FBI is complicit. It's an accessory. It's complicit in the crime, if not an accessory after the fact, or one of the two. Will Trump declare a national emergency? I like that. 1 yes or 2 no. You can do that, Matt R. That's fine. Frankly, Trump loses his nerve too often. I understand why, but he really, and he has a lovely family. You know, I really like Don Jr. I really like Don Jr. As a matter of fact, I very rarely ever tweet to Trump without tweeting to Don Jr. I like Eric too, but Don's a little bit more out in the open, a little more obvious. But those two boys, Eric and Don, are real men. And I'll publicly say I really like your sons, Donald Trump. I really do. Barron's a little young yet, but Don Jr. and Eric, they're fantastic. I wish more people were like those guys. Claire Lyons says, Matt, yes, he will declare a national emergency. We'll see. I could certainly understand doing it under the circumstances. I feel bad for, and this is where the Elliott Abrams things comes in. Look at what Elliott Abrams did, and Oliver North and these other guys, to Central America. Look at what they did to that place. I understand how that has progressed to where it is today, where you've got the guerrilla movements and the drug wars, all insurgencies of different type, fueled by basically the United States. I agree with that. I understand why all those people are now feeling like we owe them something. But we, the people, didn't do that. We were just asleep and didn't understand what our leaders were really doing, and they were lying to us. You can't take a homeless person into your home who you don't know. I guarantee you. Try it and see what happens to you. I know people that have done that. Little things as little as a misdemeanor theft, to grand theft, to abusing children, to murder. We can't do that. Hold our leaders responsible for the horrible things that they've done, but we can't open ourselves up to invasion. So we'll see where Trump goes with this. Janet, we the people, kind of agrees with me that he's caving too much, like on the Second Amendment. I don't know. If he just understood that we're behind him, I understand that. The bad thing about the conservative side, and he probably realizes this, is that we don't have a tendency to get together. We're constantly. Have you ever noticed that? It's like this thing with Dan Bongino and Lee Stranahan. There's this constant infighting in the conservatives because we're so independent. On the leftist Marxists, the demonic side, they demand loyalty. Whether you agree with it or not 100%, you better be there and do it, or you're going to be either ostracized, maimed, or killed. That's why they're such a formidable force, because they have no scruples. They don't believe in independent thought. That is our greatest weakness. And maybe Trump realizes that, but at some point in time, he's got to lay these cards on the table. I agree. Okay, Shockwave and Purple One, please stop. Okay, the moderators are being kind to you because you're going with each other, but really, I appreciate Purple One and Shockwave both saying what they've said, both in my defense and otherwise. But come on, guys, ease up. All right, let's get back to the real issue. This is what I mean about us. We infight too much. Let's not do that. Okay. Yukon Cornelius, where's Roy? Yeah, I was gone for a few minutes playing music. That's probably what you're doing. Rude comments will not be tolerated. Exactly, Liza Jean. Thank you very much. And K. Smalls, doing that, and Roosevelt, if you're here as well. Kay says hope you're having a blessed day, everyone. Joseph Moon, good morning. We have some wonderful people in the world, don't we? Okay, true, deplorable. An emergency isn't something you schedule for the future. Good point. Good point. It's really an emergency if it needs to happen immediately. So, 2, no emergency, just another negotiating position. I actually agree with you. But I'm not saying that the emergency shouldn't have been declared, but I understand what you're saying. Yes, absolutely. Santana Benacci says Mossad got him. Obviously, there are those influences here. I've talked about them before. In some places you wouldn't even expect. But I hold the entire IC, the Five Eyes, and then I throw Mossad in there as well as being a real problem in the world. Okay, I do. Jelly Bean says gun owners of America is more patriotic than the NRA. Well, I would say this: they're more courageous. The NRA was back the bump stock ban. What? And back when I was in high school, I talked about it the other day. Their big thing was sportsmen's rights. Well, the Bill of Rights, the Second Amendment, is not about sportsmen's rights, and I wrote about that to them back when I was in high school. Never got a response, of course. David Ream answering somebody asking where I was making coffee. Well, I'll agree. I did go heat it up. I did. Okay. Well, the reason why I played the music, though, is because I wanted us to have a little, relaxation time. And really, music is a creation. There are animals that sing. They're a cappella, right? Birds and even whales, and you know what I'm saying? But the creations of men and women, but the creation of mankind, this music thing, which is really a form of mathematics, this thing about music is very special, and we should enjoy it. It's part of our creation. It's part of what we are. It's a common language, and that's why I'm into it, and I would hope that you enjoyed it as well. Okay? Let's look at it that way. Okay. Whoops, I went too far. Let's see where we are here. Oh, I'm sorry, I hit the deal here and it went way too far down. Okay, rats, where'd I go? Oh, man. Well, you guys are making a lot of good points here, and I can't cover them all, today, and I apologize for that. I really goofed up and hit this thing and. Okay. Wow, I went way down. Okay. Well, I'll just go from here. Sorry, I had to skip. I hit the thing a little too hard. It would jump way, way ahead. The player NKC. I lost my mother. She can't be replaced. Yes, I cried. Then I realized she is in a better place than me. I'm sorry. Yeah, losing our loved ones is the hardest thing to deal with here. It's absolutely the hardest thing. That's why we don't want to cause that on somebody else, which is one of the reasons why I didn't like what Trump said, about the terrorists. We're not only going to kill the terrorists, we're going to kill their families. Ugh. One of his open your mouth and stick in both feet. Helios Media, what do you make of the strain on the face of DHS Secretary Nielsen? I don't trust Nielsen. Almost everybody that Trump's put in his cabinet, I don't trust. But what do we do? Okay, let's go on down here and see what else we've got. Yeah, I'd like the Podesta brothers to be investigated to the hilt as well. I agree, Janet Nadler. Very, very much so. By the way, Janet, I think you're the one that sends me a lot of information, and I do get it on Twitter. I'm very careful about responding to people, as you probably know. But Janet sent me a lot of good information, sometimes which I cover here. And actually, there was something I was going to cover that she sent, if this is the same person. I believe it is. Give me a second here while I check. I want to check my DM and go to this. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you were one of the ones that asked about this thing about Soros being arrested, and I was going to address that today. I don't believe it because I don't see the reaction in the rest of the battlefield. Okay, I don't see it. There would be reactions to that, and it's just not there. So thank you for sending me the information, though. I appreciate it. It does make me look. When you send me that stuff, I take the time, and I may not answer you because there's some other problems with the Twitter deal. I hope you understand. It's not personal. But I did take a look at it, and then I went and I checked out the battlefield, so to speak, and I was looking at all the different areas, and I don't see any reaction by the enemy, so I don't think it happened. No, I know it didn't happen. Okay. Yeah, Liza Jean Williams says, Trump has always used the OK sign. So have I. That's not a white power sign. That's ridiculous. That's just another thing where they're trying to control what you do. I pay no attention to them. No attention. Kay says, so sorry about your wife. Thanks, Kay. I know. I've talked about it several times. I've shown her on, on our trips to, different places, Bahamas. I haven't shown the Hawaiian ones yet. I'm not sure why, but at any rate, certainly Venice, those types of things. Okay. Yeah, Goodman does some really good interviews. He does, Jason Goodman. Yeah, he does do some good interviews. Civil asset forfeiture is a problem. Yes, I agree. It's wrong. It's anti-constitutional. No president should ever go along with it or any violation of the Fourth Amendment. Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah, I'm not sure what Rain here is talking about. He's addressing Halias Media. It is Roy and his attorney is Larry Klayman. I'm not sure what you're talking about there, but yeah, David Ream, an internal investigator at the LAPD, friend of mine, tells me that I'm a fool to believe our Constitution is still alive and well. Haven't we been talking about that? And yet, like a lot of other people, this LAPD guy took an oath to support and defend it. I'm not holding it against him or her. I understand where that is. Like I say, the leadership, the head is rotten, and somehow or another we've got to change that. Yeah, Swivel Hips, I like this. My biggest criticism of POTUS Trump is not that he is a tyrant, but his refrain in using the powers that he has available to him. 100% agree. Thank you for saying that. 100% agree. And I don't understand it. Aaron Cox. Why does that name sound familiar? Did the Nevada state prosecutors charge $6 million for writing up the appeal on the Bundys? Well, the Nevada state prosecutors, if you're talking about the DOJ prosecutors, I wouldn't be surprised they spent that much money, or what would be that much money. But I don't know. I read through the appeal, and it's basically what it is they're saying we didn't do anything wrong, despite the fact that they did. And then they threw a whole bunch of propaganda and crap up there, pointing to people who supported the Bundys, saying that, and I'm not saying that any of the law enforcement officers, so-called, should be targeted by anybody, but they brought up some of that some of the supporters said, sort of like the Millers. They're trying to use a very broad brush to paint anybody who stands against what the Agenda 21 and Agenda 2030 and all that is trying to do to the United States through the BLM and through all these things, trying to stand up against that and fight against it. They're trying to paint anybody that does that with a broad brush that they're domestic terrorists. And it's ridiculous. And it shows their desperation and it shows their evil. And again, I'm very upset that Trump even let this thing go forward. Could he have stopped it? Hell yes! Where the hell's Whitaker? Doesn't he know what this is about? Okay, let's see what we got here. Larry Klayman, lazy lawyer, Metatron 737. As far as I know, Larry Klayman's never won a case in his life. I wouldn't have him as my attorney. Sure as heck would not. Three teens and a toddler mama. Took my mom to see Coldplay in 2000, Godsmack and Stained. Stained, that's another group I like. Yeah, they've done some good stuff too. This is a good point. A-Space says they wanted to kill everyone in the convoy, but they only killed Lavoie. Lavoie sacrificed himself to save the others. There's a lot of truth to that. I think Lavoie recognized that's why he got out of the car and drew their fire over. It was be too obvious. But they still shot at the truck even after that. What surprises me is they didn't take out Aaron Bundy too. That was very odd. But at that point there were probably too many eyes on it. The HRT was there to commit murder. The FBI HRT was there to commit murder. You saw how they tried to cover up that they even shot their weapons. That's Lon Horiuchi, Ruby Ridge's group, all that. There are good people in HRTs in there, but they're mostly bad ones, or at least people that are willing to do what they're told and shut up, whether or not it's right or wrong. The HRT, the entire FBI needs to be disbanded. The entire thing. We really don't need it. Metatron 737 should hear what Santilli has to say about lazy lawyer Larry Klayman. Yeah, and I'd probably agree with him. Claire Lyons, thank you for the encouragement. I just call it like I see it. And I'm not always correct, of course I'm not. But we need to interact like this. And that's why I keep doing it. You hear me say, man, I don't want to do this anymore. Because I don't really see the results. The results aren't happening. Not that you all are responsible for the results, the failure that there are no results. But, how long do we keep putting this stuff out there and nothing happens? And people say, well, Roy, why don't you do something about it? Well, we're doing what we can. We can. Trump needs to reach out. He has resources available to him, but he's not listening. So what do? Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Because the sacrifice that you're going to make trying to fix it, first of all, isn't going to fix it. You can die on that hill if you want. I mean, at Bundy Ranch, for instance, I was willing to go there and demonstrate. I was willing to call the government out. I was willing to stand there with them in all of that. But when it came, and I understand, if there hadn't been armed people there at the corrals that day on I-15, there probably would have been a bloodbath. I think that they had been preparing for it all night. I can see it. I'm a military guy. I can see what the BLM, the DOJ, and the FBI were doing. They wanted to have another bloodbath, a 9/11 level event, and blame it on the Patriots. They did. That's exactly where that was going. Thank God for Sheriff Tom Roberts. I think that's his name. Robbins or Roberts, I forget now. Who actually put the kibosh on it, because Lombardo sure as hell wasn't going to do it. And he was out there. That's the sheriff. He was the undersheriff at the time. It was Gillespie who was the sheriff. But, protecting the Bundys and their rights is one thing, but confronting the BLM like that probably wasn't real smart. Okay? And that just probably went a little bit too far. Not saying that the people that did it were wrong. Those cowboys on their horses, that was an incredible sight. And I think I told you, there was a radio personality, I won't mention the name, who set me up with a couple of, they were federal agents, I'm not sure which. I figured it out right at the time it happened. And they were trying to get me to be involved in setting up that, moving from the demonstration area there on the Bunkerville Road over to the I-15 thing that eventually happened on the day of the big confrontation. This was the Bundy's thing. I went there to do the religious blessings along with Brand Thornton and all that. We went there to do those spiritual things. Got to witness the abuse that the FBLM put the Bundy demonstrators through on the day that they came down off the hill with the front loader. I was disgusted to see what they set up there. They had, really, you're going to have dogs and all that up on the hill to get a front loader and bring it down. No, this was all set up to cause exactly what happened. It was a provocation. They had dogs, they had military weapons. They were tasing people that were unarmed or even causing any idea that any of those BLM agents were under threat of bodily injury was bullshit. No, it was wrong. Absolutely wrong. Yet, to go that next step and go over the corrals was probably not the wisest thing to do. My whole point in being there was to document what was going on and to try to keep people from going off the deep end. That's really where I was. But I witnessed it all from a distance or close by, depending upon where it was and what was happening at the time. Liza Jean, I'm not really sure that Don Jr. left his wife. I've gone through similar things. When you stand up for something, some women just can't do it. And with the white powder that was sent to their home and the threats that were being made, and that Don also finally decided that having the Secret Service around was too much trouble. I don't think he left his wife. I don't think that's what happened. Just between us, I don't think that's what happened. It's a very sad situation. He actually, the whole family lost out because of the stand that they've made. Now look at look at their businesses suffering. You hear Maxine Williams, and you hear, and I know you already know this, but you have Maxine Williams, you have Schiff, and all these people. Oh, we want to find out about how he's using his position for money. Well, that's a diversion because that's what they've done. Pelosi's a multi-millionaire, hundreds of millions of dollars. Maxine Waters, Clinton, Schiff involved in the Standard Hotel deal, all of this stuff, and that's what the demonic accusers do. Though they accuse you of what they themselves are doing. So I think Don Jr. and his family were casualties in this. It shows that he took a sacrifice where he lost big time. Is the way I look at it. I mean, I like Kimberly Guilfoyle, but I don't think she's really... Well, I better not comment on that. Anyway, okay. No guy like Don Jr. is going to turn his back on his kids for another woman. It just ain't going to happen. Yeah, Ace Spade, you're right. They were shooting at the vehicle while it was in motion, and they used the excuse that he was going to run into the barricade. Well, the barricade was set up illegally in a blind spot. He didn't even know it was there until it was too late. That's right. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, we need to stand against the Second Amendment gun grab now. I agree. That's why, I don't know if you saw my video the other day. I did a long video, and included in that video was I brought out, my AR-15 that I bought as a political statement. I never ever wanted to be involved with military weapons again, but as a political statement, I went out and bought one the other day, and then I did the video where I extracted the part on why I got the AR-15, and I put it in a separate video that I said, sell your cloak and buy a sword. I probably should have a picture of me with the AR-15 on there so people would know what it was really about, because I noticed it didn't get that many views. But yeah, the best way you can support the Second Amendment right now is to obtain a semi-automatic rifle. Yep. It's the best way to do it now. Send that statement out there. So I encourage you to do that. Edith Wisk, I tried to get you, Antonio Sabato, and Sheriff David Clark together. There is no trust. You got to understand, I appreciate you doing that, Edith, but you got to understand that, really, and I'm telling this to, everybody that comes on my channel. I have a very notorious history. I was watching, who was it the other day? Dang, I can't remember who it was. I'm sorry. But at any rate, you've got to know my history, and I don't hide it. I've talked about it on this channel. I have videos about it. You can Google my name. You'll see a lot of disinformation. You'll see a lot of personal attacks, defamation, those types of things that are totally untrue or twisted. Facts that they twist into other things, and I knew this was all going to happen anyway. I anticipated, because I know how the IC works, and I know how evil and demonic people operate. But in that regard, I was willing to take the heat for it. So you got to understand that Alex Jones basically put me aside. He carried a couple of my videos early on, especially about the Boston bombing, until he looked into my history. Not only were people accusing me of never having been in the military, which obviously isn't true, but he saw that, and he saw the early things about my struggles with the state of Utah and the Mormon Church on the, I'm gonna call it polyamorous relationships, okay, which is really nobody's business. All heterosexual, I love kids, I love women, but at any rate. This thing that I saw the other day, and I forget who it was. Dang it, I can't believe I've forgotten it. But they were saying, yeah, this is one of the attacks on Trump, that he likes women. Oh, I know who it was. It was Trey Smith. If you watch Trey Smith. And Trey Smith is saying, and I was really happy to hear Trey say this, because I approached him a few years ago too, and I was able to talk to his producer, but he never got back to me, and I think it was on this issue, which now he gives Trump a pass for, which I find very interesting. That he wouldn't give it to me when I did it for really spiritual reasons, but he shows a picture of Trump, and he says, well, one of the accusations is that he's had these relationships with all these women, and he shows a picture of Trump up there, and he says, and this is Trey Smith thought, he says, that was King David would probably have an issue with you for having an issue with Trump on this, because David had a lot of beautiful women, hundreds of them. Now, whether or not you want to do that yourself or you believe it's a good thing or not, the point is that they look at that with me, Sheriff David Clark, who actually stood with the Bundys. I think you know that, right? He wasn't there, but he stood with them, behind him, which I really appreciated. But these guys look at my background and they go, I don't know if I want to go there, because it goes against the traditional, what are considered to be the traditional values of Western society. But isn't it funny that may be the case, right? Yet they're very quick to support LGBTQ. Even President Trump got up there with the LGBTQ flag during his campaign. So why is that all right? When that is totally against everything that the Bible stands for. As a matter of fact, those things are the things that Isaiah and other scriptures call the disgusting thing, the abomination. Never those words against David and his wives, or Gideon or those. No, that's why I say I'm picky about women, though. So I appreciate women that take care of themselves, that strive to be intelligent and take care of themselves physically and want to look attractive. And isn't it interesting that Islam wants to cover beauty up? Yes, I understand there are problems with lusty thoughts and all that, but most of us wouldn't be here if it weren't for that. It's how you take the responsibility and control it. I'll just leave it at that. But that's the reason why Edith, they pretty much keep me at arm's length. I really am an alpha male. I have a very sensitive side, but yeah. They probably can't handle the alpha side either, but it's basically the, guilt by association. They don't want that. And yet, come to think of it, Sheriff David Clark was out there with that Islamic lady when he was married. Do you remember that? Do you remember when all that was going on? Do as I say, not as I do, right? Okay. Yeah, a lot of people are having questions about Trump because he won't act. And all I'll say to that is I understand the dangers, but he wanted the job. And has he got a plan that's going to work out in the long run? Well, it's not going along too well in my estimation. Again, I look at the battlefield. I look at what's just happening in front of me. I use this thing where I look out and I see the actions about what's going on. And we're not doing too well right now. And nobody's standing up for our right to speak. Nobody's standing up for our right to protect ourselves. Nobody's standing up for our right to be secure in our persons and our property. No one. Not even Trump. I'm sorry, he's not. It's disappointing. Okay. And we've been going on for almost 2 hours here. Who is the Secret Service Noob Club? Who is this SS? Are you talking about the SES? Are you talking about the Secret Service? The SES is basically the generals that oversee the civilian generals that oversee the civilians that work for the government. It was put in place by Carter, I believe, and it's a very bad thing. It's where most of our problems are coming from today. Basically, they're infiltrators. They're leftist, Marxist-leaning infiltrators in the government. I was really happy to hear Joe DeGeneva the other day say that he now knows, and he's known all along, that the Utah or the U.S. attorney in Utah, John Huber, would do nothing. And I said that from the very beginning because I know these people. I worked with John Huber. I think most of you know that. I knew what was coming as soon as he was tasked by Sessions to look at that. Truth always says, K. Smalls first says, remember that Q said trust Sessions, not Trump. Right. But then Truth always says, well, if Q is Trump, it is no wonder nothing is getting done. I could tell you about some comments and discussions I've had with people about that, but we won't go there today. Yes, Edith, I like what you just said. Stuff is hitting the fan. El Chapo spilling the beans on HRC and all they worked with in Fast and Furious. Excellent. What did I say in my when I talked about my documentary Borders? It's exactly what I was saying, right? And it's all coming out. And yes, they are funding these and getting payback. They are funding these cartels as insurrectionists in Mexico, and they are getting the funds back from them. Absolutely 100%. CIA's involved, the FBI's involved, the DEA's involved, and certainly Clinton and her Holder and those people are all involved too. Why isn't this stuff being investigated? Well, they're trying to keep Trump tied up in this other thing. And now that the Mueller thing I'm still not certain it's going to go away. But if it does, and they say there's no Russian collusion and nobody will ever see the report, whatever, you see what Schiff is up to. They got to keep this stuff going. And the IC will come up with some other plan. Trump needs to bypass it. That's why I said he needs to go after supporting the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments. He needs to task his DOJ with that. And then if they don't do it, call them out on it and say that they're not doing it. He needs to stop focusing in on... See, that's why I say he lost the initiative. You know, he didn't seize the initiative and keep it. He's letting the enemy move him all around, all right? And he needs to say, okay, this is the direction we're going, troops, and this is what we're going to do. We're going to support the First, Second, and Fourth Amendments. That's why I gave him that option to go there, because in that regard, he can also do these other things. For instance, this whole thing with the drug deals and the kickbacks and all that. He can do that. But he's letting them drive the battle. At least that's the way it looks to me. There will be people who say, oh, no, he knows what he's doing. Well, remember, I'm looking at the battle deep down. I'm looking at the logistics lines. I'm looking at the lines of communication. I'm looking at the movements of the troops that are coming up to the front. And I don't see it. Like the thing with Gitmo. I don't see the reactions of anything happening. He needs to go on the offensive, change his avenue of approach, and send his troops in another direction. One of the principles in warfare in the Army is you do not support failure. You only support success. You do not reinforce failure. That's why they teach you to, there's another old saying, shit's going to happen. It's what you do next that counts. But he's letting them control the battle, and that's not good. That's not good. Plants play music too. I don't doubt that. I think that's probably true. Okay, Finest Planet 1 has to leave, and we've been going for an hour and 50 minutes, and it looks like I'm at the bottom of the... And I know I missed a whole bunch when I accidentally moved it forward, and I apologize for that. It's one of the things that's difficult about trying to run a program like this. But yeah, we're done. I'm glad we had a chance. I wanted to give all of you a chance to put in your 2 cents worth, because I know that I've been ignoring that for quite a long time. And I don't necessarily mean to, but I don't like these things to go along. But I wanted to take today and let you have your moan and groan and your praise and own if you wanted to do that. Let me see here. We got a few more. Trump trolling us in his presidential hot tub. Like I said, that's why I call him to task on a lot of things. But I support what he says he stands for. Trump is exposing the corruption. Oh, there's no doubt about that. They can't stand him. They can't stand him. I agree. But why aren't... It was like when I told you I went to see family in California, and all they listened to is CNN and MSNBC. And when I'd bring up stuff, they'd attack me as being a nobody and a know-nothing and a Trump lover and all this. And the American people are under a hypnotic spell. And I'm talking about some relatively intelligent people who think this and were willing to attack me. Yeah, Claire Lyons, this is the longest program I've done. Yeah, and again, the reason was I wanted to let you all have more of an input. Okay, that's why I've done it. Okay, so we'll close it down. I want to thank everybody for coming. Hopefully it didn't cut out too much. I know it has a tendency to do that, especially around here. As most of you know, I have a very, very difficult problem with the internet in this area. We're having a windstorm today. Very light precipitation, but it's a windstorm. Gusts up to like 50 miles per hour, and that can take out some aspects of the internet. So I apologize if it's jumped around a lot. I really don't know. But I want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank my moderators for doing such a great job. I could see they were on the job today, and this is something I should have done a long time ago. But I appreciate everybody coming, and I don't have a problem with people that disagree with my take on things. That's fine. But we don't need to call each other names. We don't need to say nasty things. We don't need to make threats and that type of thing. And that's why I finally decided that moderators were important. And I appreciate Kay Smalls. I appreciate Roosevelt Media. And I appreciate Liza Jean Williams for helping me out. And, we'll do this. We'll do another program probably in a few days. I want to hold off now a little bit. I want to see what's going to happen with Bill Barr. I want to see what's going to happen with... I'm not very happy with the way that they've used Elliot Abrams for Venezuela. I'm very upset about that for reasons I've already explained. I want to see if Trump is going to act, if he's going to... He needs to go on the offensive despite the difficulties and declassify things, identify criminals in the government, even if you can't go after them enforcement-wise. Like you can't, I don't know if you understand this, but you can't arrest anybody in Congress while Congress is in session. You can't do that. And he doesn't have the power to arrest anyway, other than citizens arrest, but he wouldn't do that. But he can direct things and then find out if people follow orders, and if they don't. And I said fire them in a video here a while back. And don't kid yourselves. I know how hard it is to fire federal employees, especially SES. But there are ways to get around that. I did it when I was in the Army. I had civilians working for me. There are ways to do that. Sometimes it's nothing more than a lateral transfer just to get them out of the way. there are ways to do it. It's not easy, but he needs to make sure that people understand he's not playing games with them anymore. Okay, not just fix the economy, which I find to be very important. Obviously, abundance here and having those blessings is great, but by the same token, we need to get rid of these evil people as fast as we can. Okay, so enough talk today. Again, thank you for coming. God bless you. God bless yours. God bless the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America and the Second American Revolution. Prep, pray, stay out of the way. Be very careful about what hill you choose that you'll be willing to die on. Okay? Make sure you're not making a sacrifice unnecessarily. And make sure it's for the right reason. God bless Donald Trump in all of his righteous endeavors. And may the Spirit of the Lord descend upon him and give him that spirit of discernment that will help him to know the right from the wrong, and that he will have the courage to do the right thing. Thanks, everybody. Till next time.